rankings.
Do we? Who for you guys league wide won day one of free agency?
Well, I texted Mike. Mike, you have my list. Do you want to bring it up?
I have your list, yes. And thank you both for listening to instructions.
Thank you.
You're the only one of the four.
Listen, I didn't because I just feel like it's grading a paper that's a third of the way through.
Well, but we're basically,
I know that's
it's
what
just
we
a
do.
day one grade.
No, right.
Just a day one
right.
grade. I thought the Panthers, well, I hated their trade the other day.
Yeah.
I thought they made two really good moves. They signed Von Bell.
Yep.
It's a big loss for the Bengals.
You were hot over that.
I was disappointed
We
in
were
that.
cheering that in the
You
in the
were
chat room.
cheering. Fair. I understand that. And they re-signed Bradley Bozeman, their center, who's really good. I thought he was going to leave. I thought the Steelers lost the starting corner, and that was going to hurt them. But then they signed Patrick Peterson, who even at his age played great last year. I thought that was a good. I thought even
but he's a lot closer to the end than he is to the beginning.
No,
Yes.
but
I mean,
but now I thought the Bengals.
they're not getting the Patrick Peterson we all remember.
Well, but he's still really good. He had a great year last year. I thought the Bengals re-signing Jermaine Pratt was a great move, even though they lost Von Bell. To get Pratt, who's a really good linebacker for $7 million a year, I thought was a steal. And the Commanders signing Andrew Wiley, offensive tackle from Washington. Really good player at a good price.
Were you guys surprised Jalen Ramsey only went for a third?
No, because I don't think he's
No,
that good
we
anymore.
had talked last year that the guy had lost his fastball, and he just wasn't. Even in the Super Bowl and the playoffs 2 years ago, he did not look like Jalen
he's not
Ramsey.
the same
I mean,
guy.
I certainly wouldn't want him on the Browns. The Browns obviously are set there, but I thought he'd go for more than a three.
Hey, man, I had to call.
Well, don't forget they threw in Hunter Long.
Right. Oh, well, never mind. That
that kind of
that
makes it all-
changes everything.
Yeah,
Hey,
exactly.
I had to call Crime Stoppers. I'm like, somebody out here get abused, dog. 911, what's going on out there in that corner lonely? But I will say this. I could give no grade because the grade is going to be made today and tomorrow. Look how many of these top guys are still available.
Yeah,
This is by Phil Yates. Bobby Wagner, Orlando Brown, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Odell Beckham Jr., Levante David. Jacoby Myers is off the board now. Jordan Poyer is here. Dalton Schultz, James Bradbury at corner, Miles Sanders, Adam Thielen, all are still available.
None of these running. Oh, Raheem Mostert re-signed with the Dolphins today, but most of the running backs and wide receivers have not moved. Mike, before we continue, do you want to talk PCC? Should we get a little PCC action?
Yeah, we'll do a little PCC action, Paul. I love when you remind us to inform the people of the single greatest airfoil maker in all of
Number
America.
one.
That is PCC, and guess what? They're hiring. If you need a job with career advancement and great benefits, well, PCC Airfoils is the leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Menor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up, plus full benefit packages, paid time off, and a signing bonus. You can apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more.
I don't know how it's going to work out, but when I was thinking about the losers, one of the things I thought of is my buddy Trey Wingo. He
Tough
was
look.
out there yesterday. Now, it still might come
saying
true.
that it's a done deal, the Rodgers deal.
Yeah. I mean,
Hasn't happened yet.
No, it hasn't. And
Although,
How does any NFL Network guy screw up any deal ever? You work for the league. Like,
well, Wingo's just independent
He's
now.
independent, yeah.
He was
Oh,
formerly
you're
at
right. You're
ESPN. Now he's like
Yeah.
a brand ambassador for
Right.
one of the casinos.
Wasn't he at NFL Network?
No, he was at ESPN, and he was their number 2
Who am I
NFL
thinking of?
face for
Oh,
years.
Rich Eisen. Rich Eisen.
Rich
Never mind.
Eisen is
Never
who you're
mind.
thinking about. Yeah.
I
yeah,
retract
I mean,
that.
though I will say there's reports that the Jets are close to signing Alan Lazard, who played with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, no.
So it's probably still
At the
going
end
to
of the
happen.
day, he may be right.
Right.
But the fact that no one has confirmed it,
No.
in fact, there have been some people walk it back a little bit.
Yeah.
These have to be some tense hours for Trey because the last thing
Yeah.
you want to do is be wrong on the single biggest story of,
Right.
of a season.
Well, he's not a traditional newsbreaker
No.
to
No.
start.
No.
And like if you know how the game works, there's only 2 or 3 people that you get that from.
yeah.
That you would go with.
That's why when I saw it was from Trey, I'm like,
Right.
wait a minute.
Yeah.
What?
I mean,
Now,
I don't know.
He's got a lot of
obviously
connections.
connected. He's obviously connected.
And I think he and Aaron have a pretty close relationship. At least they did. So
Well, maybe he's getting it right from.
it's entirely
From Aaron.
possible
Right.
that he
Right.
is.
But it's the agent, it's the player, it's the GM.
That's it.
That's
I mean,
all
that's
you
the
trust.
circle.
That's all you trust on those type of transaction type deal. And
Yeah.
maybe an assistant GM.
That's like somebody.
But that was like Schefter last year with the Brady retirement news.
yeah.
Right.
And then Brady came back after.
Yeah.
Hey, did you guys see the way the Chiefs did Orlando Brown? But so he wanted, I can't remember what it was. that he was asking for. Something
He wanted
absurd.
$20+ million a year.
Yeah.
They ended up signing Jawan Taylor, Stevie take tag board full,
And then they just-
for $20 million a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's younger.
He's younger, but
Smart to go with the younger guy.
Brown is available now.
Yeah.
As a result.
Yeah.
And
But
Brown's very
I love
good.
it. You know what? When you're the Chiefs, that's why it's so important to get to the top, because everybody wants to go win a ring.
That's right.
And they want to play with one of the best quarterbacks
That's right.
that the game has ever seen.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So it is such a built-in advantage when you have that guy on your squad.
No doubt.
And that coach. Because
Yeah.
right now they have both.
Guys want to play with them.
And
yeah.
guys want to play with them. And you're able to tell a guy that might ordinarily hold a gun to your head, hit the bricks.
Yeah, we'll take somebody else.
I got somebody in the wings
Yeah.
that's just as good and younger, and I'll pay
That's
him.
right.
So it was interesting. the way
Mike,
they
throw
dealt
out
with that.
my guys that I didn't like, the signings that I didn't like. You got
Yeah,
my list?
we'll start with the first one, and we'll start with the Bears in general here before we get to the Rest Bowl. But
I
the
didn't
first
understand the signing.
big name the Bears signed, was Tremaine Edmonds, the linebacker out of Buffalo. Stevie, take tag board full. He got $50 million guaranteed.
That's nuts.
And they paid an inside linebacker Edmonds, who is very good.
But he's
More
not
money than Roquan Smith got, who
Isn't
they
that
traded last week.
Isn't that the highest deal
ever
For an
on a
inside
highest
linebacker?
4-year deal ever for an inside linebacker who's not great against the run.
That's
Like,
absurd.
I don't understand that move. They had a Roquan Smith. They traded him. Roquan Smith's better.
Is
They
it
traded
because
him last year.
if you trace the history of the Bears, they've always, when they were great, they always had an
Great
all-time
linebacker.
great linebacker.
But
Whether
they
it was
traded
Dick
Roquan
Butkus,
Smith, who I think is better.
I don't understand why they let
Supposedly he
Smith
fits
go.
their system more. You know, I don't pay attention to the Bears that closely, but
Yeah, I thought the same thing. I thought, man, that's a steep
lot
price
of money
tag.
for an inside
When they
linebacker.
when they have the amount of money that they got, I mean,
They got a ton of cap space.
you gotta.
But
spend
why
it
wouldn't they have?
Yeah, but I need offense.
But gee, why wouldn't they have instead just locked up Roquan Smith last year instead of doing that?
Maybe they thought it wasn't no good.
Well, hell, turn on the tape.
I mean, I don't know.
Roquan's
He turned the Ravens' defense around.
You know,
Second he got
They
there.
were not great in the first half of the year,
Hey,
and then he turned them around in the
I
second
liked
half.
him. I was advocating the Browns to take a look at him, but that's what happens when you're a bad team. Like
Yeah.
when you're a bad organization, you undervalue the people that is in your organization that are really good that can help you, and then you reach for guys who aren't as good as that. It's just a typical sign of that's why they drafted number one.
I've been
you're right.
I've been without my phone for 39 minutes and I've got the shakes.
Are
Yeah.
you over
Where
there
is
like
it?
this?
I have no idea where my phone is.
I tried to call you, but it didn't.
It's either in my car or in the bathroom.
Do you need to unplug and go
No,
get
no,
it?
no, no.
I mean,
maybe
you could be getting
one of
hot
you guys can
news.
look for his
It's-
bat. Look
It's
for
like
his bat.
10:59 as I'm getting wired up. I'm like, oh my God, where's my? I don't know where my phone is.
McNuggets,
Yeah.
I'm like, Bull, call my phone. Call my phone. Yeah, I don't know where it is.
Whose phone is more of a alarm level 5 nuclear attack if they lose their phone, Jay or Jason? I feel like Jason got a lot of joints in there. You got to
Yeah.
Listen, no. Like
No one's
today,
getting into mine, so
yeah,
I'm not worried
Jason's
about it.
is way more valuable
Right.
than Jay's in breaking news situations.
No
but
doubt.
If someone's going to go through the Rolodex,
Yeah.
Oh,
Jay's got
phone.
some numbers
Well-
that we can't. Jay's probably got Obama's number.
Here's the thing: nobody can get into it. So if I lose it, I
Right.
mean, you can have it. You're not going to get anything out of it.
He even got a secure system that nobody know about. You should have gave that to
Triple
Tiger.
face recognition.
You should have gave that
double
to Tiger
thumbs.
Woods.
What'd you guys overall though? The Bears yesterday they spent out a ton of money on Edmonds. They
Yeah.
were the first to make a move. They brought in linebacker T.J. Edwards, so they revamped that entire linebacker core. They gave $33 million to Nate Davis, the guard, on top of the trade they made earlier,
Right.
with the first overall pick.
Didn't they get DJ Moore?
And they got DJ Moore in that
Moore.
trade. Yeah. Do you guys like what they've done this offseason? Or they
I
spending
do,
their
except
money
for
in the
this
wrong
move.
ways?
I like the rest of what they've done. Yeah.
I like the move. I just don't like the
Hey.
price tag.
Right. I just don't
Edmonds.
understand spending that much money on a linebacker. I mean,
ton.
But aren't they
Who's not-
aren't they trying to get a new stadium?
They are, well,
They are.
there's talk that they're good. So I think what's going on is the organization is using that as a crowbar to get the city to do something more
Right.
for them than Soldier
can't have the
Field.
Bears not in Chicago. I mean,
No,
that's-
but right now all the talk is that they're moving out of Chicago.
Yeah.
Now that could be,
that would be
it's probably extortion.
that would be horrible.
Oh, at the highest levels.
But I mean, we'll see. how that
Billionaires are
plays
allowed
out.
to extort people.
Now,
That happens.
they're like,
Apparently,
look at all the money,
taxpayers' money too.
all the money we spent, and you're gonna not give us a new deal? Come on,
Rich
now.
people love to talk about capitalism, except when they lose money. Then they want socialism.
Oh yeah, listen.
Then they're into socialism.
That's-
No, they only want socialism when it benefits them.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Right. When their banks go bankrupt. Yeah.
that Silicon
Those
Valley.
rich people.
Government, where are you?
Yeah.
Shout
right,
out to them.
exactly.
They should be opening up the coffers any day now
Yeah,
for Silicon
exactly.
Valley Bank, right?
Wow.
By the way, guys, another move I didn't like. I don't understand what the Raiders are doing. I understand that Jimmy Garoppolo played for Josh McDaniels, but like Derek Carr loved being a Raider, right? And I don't love Derek Carr either, but Derek Carr's better than Jimmy Garoppolo.
34 million.
Guys, I don't know on Carr.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm overthinking this.
Yeah.
I think the day he cried at the podium, that was as bad as who was the quarterback that was caught on mic, a young quarterback saying, "I'm seeing ghosts out there."
That was
with the
was
Jets.
Darnold. It was
It was
Darnold.
Darnold.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold.
Who's now with San Francisco?
Okay, that is going to stick with me forever on Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I don't
And
know.
the thing that's going to stick with me when it comes to Carr is that he was standing at the podium
Yeah.
and he was crying real tears. That's not a good look for a player in this league who's supposed to be a leader. It just
I don't
isn't.
know. I think I don't have a problem with him crying.
That just goes to show you how frustrating playing for certain people are. It's frustrating. Like Josh Jacobs went off at the end of the year. Look at the amount of people that have come back and be like, "Listen, Josh McDaniels, I can't work with you, bro. I can't do it."
Well, he went back to the Raiders though.
Who?
They franchised.
Well, he couldn't have much leverage in the
Yeah.
situation.
They
but
did add Jacoby Myers. These Patriot coaches try to reinvent. They try to do New England, in whatever city they're in. It never works.
It don't work.
No.
And I don't know. They got a lot of skill position talent. Everybody points to Jimmy Garoppolo's record. I can't argue that his record's really good. I just don't buy he's that
Well,
good
you
a
know what,
quarterback.
though? You could put Jacoby Brissett with that defense,
Yes.
and he's going to have a really good record.
And by
too.
this year, look at the skill position talent they had when they traded for McCaffrey.
You're right.
I mean,
By the way, Brissett's still available. Do we have any idea what the market?
there's been no rumors about him or Baker since free agent. Since
The Baker
free agency
rumor
started.
to Tampa Bay.
But that was before free agency started. I mean, in the 24 hours since tampering started, I haven't heard
Are
anything
you
about
hearing
either of those
anything
guys.
on? I just keep hearing from my friends in Tampa that Baker's coming, and they think it's a done deal.
No,
But-
I just got off the boat, so
Yeah.
I'm playing catch up today. I
Yeah.
have no idea.
Okay.
Jameis Winston
be honest, I
staying
have
in
no
New
idea.
Orleans
That's
to
surprising.
back up Derek Carr.
Yeah.
He's just a backup now.
I would not be surprised if you see Jacoby Brissett back in the Browns uniform. I just wouldn't. I don't think there's much of a market now that I'm
I
looking
don't
at
agree.
it.
I don't agree.
I don't think they
think
have
he's
the
leaving.
money.
I don't.
We
think,
went over it yesterday. There's like 8 teams that still need a starter.
Yeah, I
But
think he's
here's the
leaving.
thing: a lot of people are now saying, "Okay, I might like like Levis out of Kentucky. I might like Anthony Richardson.
Okay, but-
and then you have Bryce Young, and you also have C.J. Stroud. So that's 4 decent names in the first round.
Yeah, but Richardson's not going to start year 1, is he?
Brissett is the perfect guy to put in front of Levis or
Stopgap.
Richardson or one of these
Oh,
guys.
as a stopgap.
Yeah.
As a 1 year
Until you get him ready.
transfer until you
Even
Question for you guys.
Yeah.
Based on that, so we saw Mike White got $8 million a year
Yeah.
last year. This morning, Taylor Heineke got $10 million from the Falcons to help gauge and bring up Desmond Ridder, who they drafted in the second round last year. Based on those 2 contracts,
Yeah, we're not
I
keeping him.
feel like Brissett is going to cost more than that, even if it's a 1-year deal, right?
unless
I
he
don't
gets
think he
screwed.
had his-
I mean, he might get screwed
But
because
Heineke had more success than Brissett did.
Heineke had a good year.
he had a
really good year.
He had a better record. He didn't play that well.
But he had a
either.
good year. Like I think the biggest mistake they made was putting him on the bench at the end of the year.
I like him. I liked him way better than Wentz. But here's the thing: if Jacoby was going to get that, why was he not the first quarterback off the board?
Hey,
Maybe because they haven't come. He hasn't got an offer that he's liked yet.
as of
That's for
this
sure.
moment, here are spots for Jacoby. If the Jets don't get Aaron Rodgers, that's one possibility,
He ain't
right?
going there.
No way. The New York Jets fan base would burn the
Well, but they're
building.
gonna-
I know, but I'm just telling you. After going
I
from
agree.
Aaron Rodgers to Jacoby Brissett,
I agree, but
storm
in
the
the end,
castle.
let's say Rodgers retires.
yeah,
You never know with him. He's a whack job.
he might sign and then retire.
What are they going to do? Who else is out there for them? Unless they go after Lamar Jackson.
I would be.
Well,
hard.
yeah, that's on the books too.
Who's starting for Houston? Well, they signed Case Keenum.
Case Keenum is their
Is
guy,
he
but
going
I
to
don't
be their
think, I don't
bridge
think
quarterback, or is he a
They're going
backup?
to draft a guy.
They're probably going to draft a guy.
By the way, if the Jets can't swing and miss on
Who's Washington's starting quarterback right now?
they signed.
Well, did they just sign Heineke?
No, they don't.
No. Are you sure?
They have no quarterback right. Well, I mean, Sam Howell, the guy they drafted late
No,
in
he's
last
not the
year's
guy,
draft.
though.
is
Washington,
he's
Tampa
the only
Bay.
quarterback on the roster.
Who's Carolina's quarterback?
Who they're going to draft, number
Draft and
one.
they're going to sign again.
Right.
Well, maybe it's smart for Jacoby to sit back and wait.
See how it play out.
Someone's going to get desperate.
Arizona.
They need somebody.
Once Jackson and Rodgers fall,
Yeah.
I think they're the big dominoes.
Well,
then
yeah.
maybe you'll see Jacoby in a better position
Well,
to
think
make
about
a
it.
decision.
You need Arizona. Let's say Rodgers goes to the Jets. Arizona needs a starter because Kyler Murray tore his ACL at the end of last year.
Late in the year.
So Arizona, Carolina might want a bridge starter.
Right.
Maybe. And Tampa Bay and who do we say? Washington. So that's 4 teams that could potentially need a starter. Now, they might draft rookies, but you got Baker out there, you got Jacoby, and you got Gardner Minshew. Is there anybody else? Andy Dalton?
Yeah, Dalton's out there.
Yeah.
Says he still wants to play.
The Jets can only go one direction. Either they sign Aaron Rodgers or
They got to go after Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson.
Yeah,
that's
that's
it. There's no turning back to a stopgap.
No,
They'll eat them alive.
And I think you can scratch Jacoby's name off the list in Carolina, too. Like, I don't know how that fan base is going to respond to.
Another stopgap.
We got
Whoever they draft
Baker from Cleveland. Now we're getting Jacoby.
Whoever
Brissett
they
from
draft
Cleveland.
number one is playing day one.
You think?
I would
I do
think
too.
so.
Right.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Boy, that can be a bad situation.
Well,
So it's Washington, Tampa, and Arizona do need somebody.
Yeah.
And
Desperately.
Baker probably ends up in one of those spots, and Jacoby probably
and
ends up in one of those spots.
if the Jets land Aaron Rodgers, Zach Wilson's probably getting flipped to one of those teams. You know, maybe.
I mean, nobody wants
Like,
him.
But if you're a,
He's horrible.
I mean,
he has been horrible, yes. But if you're a young team, or if you're a team without a quarterback, wouldn't you take a flyer on him? I would. I'd bring him to camp for what the price is going to be.
Why wouldn't the Jets just hold on to him? Because Aaron Rodgers might play 1 year.
Well,
you know?
listen, they might end up having to hold on to him and coach him up.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think
he sucks.
when
He
you
does. I think so, too.
When you
but-
flame out in New York, there's no coming back from that. But that doesn't mean that he can't have success in another. Listen, I'm not
Gino,
saying he's a
though,
Hall of
Gino
Famer.
flamed out in New York 10 years
Yeah,
later.
but he had to go to Seattle before he finally found his footing.
I'm just saying, I don't think New York holds on to him. If they get somebody else, I think they're moving on from him.
Yeah.
And you're getting him for pennies on the dollar compared to what they gave up to get
Are
him.
you saying here for the Browns, are you guys in agreement that you don't get a backup quarterback with any sort of name or storyline?
I mean,
it's just a dude.
It could be. Listen, the Browns might be. The Browns can't afford to spend legit big money on a backup quarterback.
Or
No,
Like,
but
could
you know
one
what?
of those guys that could Andy Dalton end up coming here for $3 million a year? I mean, maybe. I'd be happy with Andy Dalton.
I
as a
would be
backup.
happy with Andy Dalton as a backup.
What'd Jacoby get last year? Six. What was he
Yeah.
making?
Yeah, but
I think he
there's-
was 6.
Aren't they projecting 8 to 10 for him?
Well,
somewhere
that's why I'm
this year?
saying he's not going to get less than that, obviously.
No, and he's
And-
not. The Browns can't afford to spend that much. I
and
mean, I don't know.
What did Keenum get?
From the Browns or last year?
No,
No.
on his deal yesterday.
I want
don't
to say
know.
he got 6. So maybe.
Give me 1 sec.
I'm gonna tell you this. I'll tell you this though.
He got 6.25, $4 million guaranteed.
If I'm Stefanski and I say, look, man, Deshaun Watson has 2 torn ACLs in his past. If he comes out here and gets hurt week 1 or 2, and don't go crazy in the chat, I'm just saying, if I'm the coach, I gotta have something back.
gotta think that way.
Like, because if he get hurt and the season go down the tube, you're done.
But if Deshaun Watson has a season-ending injury, the season's over no matter who they have.
Absolutely.
Now,
I mean,
if he's
it
out,
wasn't last year
We
for San
saw
Francisco.
that last year. He was out 11 weeks, and look what they
but
did.
I
know,
like, it's the
But
exact same thing.
here's my thing. Yes, it's over, but who do you have more faith in it that could give you a remote shot of staying competitive?
it doesn't matter in this conference with the Bills, Chiefs, and Bengals, and I think the Jaguars are going to be moving into that mix.
in their division. Just
and
in their division.
To me, it's about who can keep me afloat if Deshaun Watson misses 3 weeks.
It's the Colts
not
theory.
not the whole. If he's the whole season, it's over.
Either or. What
Yeah.
I'm saying is just because it happens, the season's over, doesn't mean you don't think about it. Like you can't say, all right, well the season's over anyway, so we're not going to bring nobody
I
else
know,
in.
but we're saying the Browns have a lot of holes.
So it comes down to this: do you want Jacoby Brissett or do you want a safety? Because
I'd take Brissett because he is
I'd
the
take
safety.
I'd take the safety.
In this situation, he is the safety.
It goes back to the Colts theory of if Peyton Manning goes down, we're screwed anyway, so we're not going to spend anything on the backup quarterback. I'd rather allocate that money to a position where the guy's going to get on the field and can help us win. Because if we don't have Peyton Manning,
I don't know, man.
That
I watched
would be
San Francisco
devastating.
damn near make a Super Bowl last year.
That
They
would
were
be-
down to
with
quarterback
a guy
number
who they
4.
didn't spend any money on.
You're right.
Yeah.
So that's
So
why I
you
said,
missed
hey,
irrelevant. Well, maybe they take
And
somebody
that was
in the seventh
and
round.
that was on the best roster in the worst conference.
Maybe they draft a guy
I
in the
don't
seventh
think
round.
that's unreasonable. I don't think that's unreasonable that they take a quarterback
late in the draft. If they
the Chad Henne route, where you
Right.
take a guy 4th round, 5th round. They
Yep.
do have an extra 3 and an extra 4, right? Maybe you take a developmental guy in that 4th round, 5th round, and bring him along.
Yeah.
If you're not sold on, maybe they're sold on Kellen Mond as that guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, if
So
you
explain
could,
to the viewers why you say that so quickly.
Listen, Kellen's my guy.
I
I covered
know.
him for 4 years at A&M. Awesome dude. I'm going to get him on at some point, but he had a really hard time processing defenses quickly in college. I can't imagine, after not playing for 2.5 years now in the NFL, that has expedited to a point where he's going to be able to
is that a
read.
word?
Yeah, expedite.
That's a word.
Yeah, I think it's a word.
Expedited?
Expedite.
Jason, you're right.
Expedite.
Expedite, whatever.
Yeah.
To the point where he's going to be quickly reading NFL defenses in an RPO-style system.
Yeah, it's
like
typically
Watson.
if you don't get it in college,
He's got a rocket
you're not
arm.
going to get it here.
Those are great deep ball. So if we want to see Stefanski chuck it deep, which we haven't seen a lot yet,
Right.
open up the playbook. But I'm not sold on Kellen Mond, even though he's my guy. Love you, Kellen.
Yeah,
don't
it
think he
scares
loves
the hell
you
out
right
of me,
now.
man. It does.
No, he
It
probably
just scares
doesn't.
the hell out of me because, I know Bull. I get your point. If he goes down, you're not winning it anyhow. But it just seems like a lot is at risk. You've got all these deals, all this money. The clock is ticking.
Yep.
And to think that your season comes down to a fragile knee that's already been dinged twice.
But here's the thing. They've changed the rules so much to protect quarterbacks more than ever before. And I understand he's been hurt. But even in the time since Deshaun got hurt, they've changed the rules even more to protect him.
But look how many quarterbacks got hurt last year.
But the Browns are also cognizant of trying to limit his exposure to hits. And they kind of look at Jalen Hurts as a guy of like, Philly really likes to run their quarterback. We're not going to run our quarterback as much as Jalen runs.
Right.
So I think that they are trying to protect him. I just think that the league goes over the top in trying to protect its quarterbacks. Were there some
agree.
injuries? Yeah, of course. It's inevitable. But I don't think you can live in your fears of.
No.
Because I had players in the locker room tell me how many teams make it with a backup quarterback, how many teams make the playoffs with a backup quarterback. Like, they just kind of chalk the whole thing.
When it happens, it's a huge story, like San Francisco last year.
And it's such an anomaly. You can't bank on that. You can't worry about that. You got to roll with your guy, allocate your resources elsewhere, and if he goes down, you're screwed. You know
if
you're
you
screwed.
can get a veteran for $2-3 million.
Hey, if Jacoby wants to take $3 million, bring him back.
I think maybe Andy Dalton at this point.
I wouldn't mind
You might
that.
be able to get him for $3. Jameis signed for $4 million. He can make more with incentives, and that's something you do. You say to Andy Dalton, "Hey, we'll pay you $2.5 million guaranteed,
base,
but if you end up starting,
Yes.
you'll have these incentives built in."
They really need to do their homework and say, okay, we need to bring in a guy that can run this offense. Like, because you got to think, it's different. You can't just revert back.
And Andy Dalton,
And Dalton
wouldn't
is
fit.
not
No, it
Deshaun.
wouldn't
But
fit.
Deshaun is. There's not many guys in
Well,
that.
none of these guys
that
can
do what
do
he
that.
can do.
None of the
Right.
remaining guys.
I mean, to a degree, it's not. You're not gonna get Deshaun Watson. My thing is, if I'm a coach, I just continue to say it. I can't leave anything to chance. I got to make sure every T and dotted every I to make sure I give myself a chance. Because here's the thing: you can sit here and say, "Oh, well, I'm gonna go out like that because we can't do anything." But there are teams that can manage and coach up players that are. I mean, the 49ers did it with 3-4 different dudes.
Yeah, they just kept rolling them out there.
But again, you guys are pointing at one or two
One
examples.
rare example with the best roster.
Right. Compared to, and that is an incredible
And a great
roster.
coach.
And that's just not the norm. Did they do it? Yes. And all credit to them for
When
doing it.
Belichick lost Brady in week 1, he brought in Matt Castle. But again, it's the Patriots. They were
And that was a
strong
long time ago.
everywhere
And
else.
there's just rare examples.
And he went 10-6.
Those are the anomalies.
Here's what I'm gonna give you. Mitch Trubisky and the old dude for the Steelers. They got how many wins last year?
Did they end up 9-8?
They went 9-8, right?
Yeah.
They had a quarterback that
But
was.
who can't? But they didn't make the playoffs.
But what I'm saying though is, if you look at what they did, they didn't go in and say, okay, we'll just put Trubisky or we'll just use the rookie. They used both of them.
But the bottom line is, if you have
They used Trubisky to get Pickett ready. And once they saw Trubisky sucked, and Kenny had a couple weeks under his belt, and when you go back to Castle, that's exactly what San Francisco did with Purdy. Castle, I believe, was just a young drafted guy. At the time.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're saying.
Right.
These teams aren't investing big dollars in backup quarterbacks.
Who's the veteran backup quarterback that took a team deep in the playoffs?
Tom Brady.
Jeff Hostetler. 30 years ago, Jeff Hostetler.
Tom Brady.
When
But
Phil
he wasn't a
Simms went
veteran.
down. But
No,
he was a young.
He was a rookie.
But he was a young.
But I'm
drafted
saying,
guy.
like, you guys are saying, let's sign a veteran, let's spend money.
No.
Who's the veteran backup that's taking a team
I'm
deep
not,
in the playoffs?
I'm not saying
Frank
huge-
Reich and Jeff Hostetler in the
Earl
90s.
Morrill.
Yeah.
We got to go
100
back to
years ago.
1972.
I know. I'm not saying spend big time money on it.
Like like I said, the Bengals don't spend. If Joe Burrow gets hurt, the Bengals season's over.
Yeah.
I don't care what happens. The
But-
season's over.
Bernie Kosar,
Yes.
Miami.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, Dallas.
When the Bengals were playing with Carson Palmer against the Steelers, and he tore his knee in the playoffs.
Yeah, I remember
the
that.
game. It was over.
That's it.
It was over. John Kitna went in. They had no chance.
Well, if Joe Burrow gets hurt, Zach
It's over.
Taylor's not getting fired.
Rich
I know
Gannon.
that.
Rich Gannon. He had a good. He was a veteran backup that had a good run.
That's
Sure
true.
was.
That was a
It-
while.
it's
30
happened.
years ago.
It
But
has
the
happened.
point, the point is, the Browns are not a good enough team that they can afford to not spend in other places.
And you know what? The style of ball that Watson plays, and you would want your backup to
Yeah.
sort of mirror that, you can't get to be a veteran in the league as a backup and stick around with that skill set.
Yeah.
Steve Becker just gave us the answer. It's Nick Foles.
Oh,
No,
God.
stay away from him. My God.
Hey, that's a backup that went far in the playoffs. Oh yeah, he actually
That's
won
the
the
one
Super
guy.
Bowl.
Won the
That
Super
is
Bowl.
the more recent
Won
guy.
the Super Bowl against Tom Brady.
Mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. He played phenomenal in that postseason.
And you know what? He is the biggest Jekyll and Hyde quarterback I've
He
ever
only
seen
plays
in my
well in
life.
Philadelphia. For
Yeah,
some
but
reason.
he played like ass in Philadelphia sometimes too.
I mean, it was really only that year that he played well.
And
He had
what was
one other
what was-
decent year
What
in
was
Philly.
his contract that year too?
I
I don't
don't
think
know.
he was making
Hey,
big
Probably
dollars.
nothing.
No.
Yeah, he
He
wasn't
was an
making big money.
afterthought.
I'm not spending $10 million for a backup quarterback.
Absolutely not.
Well, I'm not
absolutely
advocating that.
No.
I'm advocating $4 billion, 4.5.